All right. Good afternoon, y'all. All right. I know we're in Houston, but I'm from Baltimore. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Delegate Ampry, for inviting me and for everybody for being here. I want to thank the Maryland Collective for the invitation to join you here at AfroTech. It's great to be here in Houston to talk about the greatest city in the world, Baltimore City. Baltimore, yes, there's no argument. As they say, don't argue with me, argue with your mom. Baltimore's renaissance is here. But those of us who grew up in Charm City know that it has been a long, long time coming. For generations, Black communities in our city, like those here in Houston, faced intentional disinvestment. And we are still feeling those impacts today. Many of you may know, but for those who don't know this story, gun violence, for me as a young man who grew up in Park Heights in Baltimore, is the reason why I decided at the ripe old age of 6 that I wanted to be the mayor of Baltimore. Because after someone was shot in my neighborhood, I was just expected to go back to school the next day. And no one came to see. In fact, no one even came to clean up the blood. My dad made my brothers and I do that. When you have something like that happen to you very early, you have to make a choice. Whether you're going to accept what those people had already determined for you, that this is something that you, because of where you live, what you look like, how much money your parents had to be expected to deal with over and over and over again, and you would be a part of that, or you could set yourself out on a path to change it. And one day, after harassing everybody in my family over and over again while no one cared, my mother looked at me in the way that only a Black mother can, to both shut you up but not stamp down your dreams at the same time. Said, if you wanted to change, you have to do it yourself. And that's why I ran for office. Today in Baltimore, we're doing things differently. We're countering the intentional disinvestment with intentional investment and taking a public health approach, community-driven approach to public safety. We're bringing in trusted partners, those who know their communities best, and they are doing the work on the ground to interrupt violence and help folks change their lives. And at the same time, we're holding people accountable. But first, we offer them a chance to change their life. Many of them get a letter directly from me as the mayor of Baltimore to say, I know who you are, I know what you do. I want you to stay alive, but you will not continue to perpetuate violence in our city. You have one chance to take us up on any research, help, whatever you need. But if you don't, we will remove you via law enforcement. And we are seeing the results. Homicides in Baltimore, as we are talking today, are the lowest through this day of any year in recorded history. They're down 40% over the last 4 years and 32% from last year. Shootings and non-fatal shootings are down 23%. And perhaps the most important, youth victims of violence are down 71% since I took office. And youth homicides specifically are down 83% this year alone. Because instead of looking at our young people as problems to be solved, as they did for me and Marlon when we were young people, we see them as resources to be invested in. We've made bold moves by doing things differently and continuing to do that, and it's paying off. We see the same energy and attitude in Baltimore's business community. We are home to some of the scrappiest, most creative founders in the world, many of them graduates of our local universities. We have a strong, well-connected startup and founder culture in our city, especially for Black families. And that's one of the reasons why folks want to build in Baltimore. In 2024, our city attracted $4.4 billion in public investment. We're currently home to 500 startups anchored in life sciences, cybersecurity, that just scared the folks in Houston real quick, and advanced manufacturing. Innovators are setting up shop at tech hubs like Fort MLK, and local initiatives like GBC's Upsurge are harnessing the diverse talent in our city to build a more equitable tech ecosystem. We also have resources like the first globally recognized accelerator for diverse families funded by and launched by tech stars in Baltimore. Luke Cooper, a TechStars alum, led Fix It, a mobile tech support platform to acquisition by assuring in 2020. He's now investing back into the region, supporting startups created by Black founders. We're seeing the next generation of Black innovators building on that success, from Ellington West Sonavi Labs to Dr. Liz's Claiborne's NASA Clip to Nicole Foster's Summons to Shark Tank winner Don Meyer's A Ritualist. We are also seeing major companies setting up in shop in Baltimore, helping to drive economic development. We're home to the new headquarters for Under Armour, T. Rowe Price, and CFG Bank. We have $3 billion in waterfront redevelopment. We have $900 million to renovate Harbor Place, and we have major stadium renovations underway for both the M&T Bank and the ballpark that changed America, the Oriole Park at Camden Yards, and so much more. Companies are taking advantage of our location and resources as a logistics hub and one of the most important ports in the world, who just happens to also be the home of world-class research institution. And in turn, we are creating partnerships, building the private and public sector, and working together to tackle Baltimore's big challenges. And one of those most significant challenges that we face is our vacant housing crisis. This crisis is a direct result of discriminatory housing policies like redlining, which the first was signed at my desk many, many years ago in Baltimore. And as someone who grew up next to vacant lots, you understand deeply how deeply entrenched that issue has become in our city. But we've made real progress. Today, there are fewer than 13,000 vacant properties citywide for the first time in 2 decades. But for me, that's not good enough. I want to win the Super Bowl every year. Making the playoffs is not good enough for me. Hint, hint to my Ravens. But we have delivered a plan to end that crisis for good within 15 years. It includes $50 million annually from our great governor in the state of Maryland that we designed to leverage $5 billion in private capital. We are putting out TIFs in neighborhoods like Park Heights, where I grew up, to turn the vacant crisis around, and we're grateful to have support from PNC Bank, Bank of America, and JP Morgan Chase. We see these big challenges for what they are: opportunities to not only power our economy, but to drive equitable growth that benefits all Baltimoreans. Our city is the place for people and companies who are looking to make big, bold moves. There has never been a better time to build a business in Baltimore. There's never been a better time to live and work in Baltimore. So whether you're an entrepreneur or developer or small business owner, we want Lottie, Dottie, and everybody to come to Baltimore and build with us, because our renaissance is here, and now it's up to you to join us as we continue to make Baltimore the best version of herself. So thank you all for having me, and with that, I will open it up for questions. Who's going to be first? The mic is coming.
Okay. First question. What are some ethical concerns about AI models? I don't have my glasses, sorry. What are some ethical concerns about how Okay.
Uh-oh.
What makes you think Baltimore better than my city?
Uncle Roland. Who told him I was coming? Old Bay is always better.
Cried hard.
Does anyone have any questions? I can walk up to you.
Anybody?
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
I'll come to you first.
I just want to say thank you. I'm from Baltimore. I moved here over a year ago. And because I'm from Baltimore, I'm striving the best. You gave my son an award for Under Armour, actually. He goes to LSU.
Skylar, anyone that Afro?
Dominic Griffin,
Uh-huh.
yes. Yep. You gave Dominic Griffin. And I just want to thank you. I seen you years ago, about 14 years ago. He was about 7 or something like that. And I remember meeting you. And at that point, you said that you were going to be the mayor. And when I say this man has done everything and above that he said he was going to do, I'm born and raised, had a baby at 17. He's one of the reasons that I've strived. Single mother, and my son is now in LSU sophomore year. So I just want to show you that appreciation. I found out late last night you were going to be here. I canceled all my appointments. I was not
Oh,
missing.
thank you so
So
much.
I really,
Thank you.
really, really appreciate you.
Thank you. We gotta call my man on FaceTime. when I get
Yeah,
off
I
stage.
do.
Any other questions, right? I want to come to you.
I just want to say, I'm your hugest fan. I really am. Born and raised Baltimore, fellow Mervo alumni.
Big damn, not the little. I
Mervo
know
was a
those other
Dunbar.
people got their
Mervo was
game
a-
this week, but it's always Mervo time around here.
But yes, I just want to give my appreciation to you. My question would be, what's a piece of advice that you can give to my colleagues here as students and pursuing more education to probably venture out to become the next mayor after you, to carry on your legacy, or be these stakeholders or these big people in these corporations that can lead to a global impact?
Oh, thank you. It's a great question. I think the first thing I always tell young people when they talk about maybe wanting to get into public service, you don't have to wait. When you think about wanting to change your community and be in, even if you want to be in public service or not, you can do that right now. When you look at every single movement that has ever changed the shape of this country, it's really been fueled by young people. And the civil rights movement is a perfect example of that. But for me, I'll tell you, knowing so young that I wanted to be the mayor, I started out in a different way, right? I obviously went to school and got a political science degree from the best public university in Maryland. Sorry for those who didn't go to St. Mary's College in the room. But also, when I came home, I first started out doing volunteer work on the campus of Coppin State University, helping around Black male achievement, but then also volunteering on campaigns. I came to City Hall almost now 19 years ago, first as a unpaid intern. We pay interns now, but back then they didn't pay us. And I learned, and I spent 4 years as a staffer before running for office, right? So I worked in the city council president's office. I worked and learned how to write legislation, right? I already had the educational portion of that, but then I knew how to work in communities because that was my job. I knew how to deal with the press because I also had to write speeches and all of these different things. I worked at recreation parks. I worked at the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice, which is now the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. There wasn't too much about city government that I didn't already know. So I was able to hit the ground running. So no matter what you want to do, make sure that you're getting involved in that work. Now, if you want to be a teacher, when you go home, volunteer at schools, do all you can do so that you're able to come in with a different mindset. It drives my staff nuts. I just remind them early that there is nothing that you would ever gonna think about in city government that I haven't always experienced. So your best bet is just tell me now. Don't try to fix it. Tell me now because I'm gonna be mad on the back end. You're welcome.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mayor.
I think they want you to use the mic.
Yeah,
for the
we need you
recording.
to use the mic.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mayor Scott. My name is Kemi Omishore,
Hello.
what did you say?
I say hello.
Senior Program Manager at Howard University. I have a question in regards to what you would suggest for somebody coming from the outside in. So I recently purchased in Maryland. I've been looking to find a new adventure outside of Howard as it relates to employment opportunities. I'm trying to hit the ground running, getting connected in spaces like this, but what would you recommend to kind of get in?
But I think it depends on what you're looking for and what you're trying to be involved with. I think that you're in a good space for that, Maryland, and I of course, I'm talking about Baltimore when I talk about Maryland. I love the other parts, but not that much. I gotta be home. I'm a homeboy first. But I think it just depends on what you're looking for. There's so many different kind of opportunities in Maryland, especially for people that look like us. Like, if it's up to me, we're gonna steal everybody from all these other places, Houston included, Uncle Roland. But we want to provide those opportunities. So it depends. So we can talk to you afterwards to see where they might be a fit, because there are so many job opportunities, there's so many opportunities for fellowship and to just build in community within the state of Maryland.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
So, my name is Takia Eastman. I have the esteemed honor of being an undergraduate student at Morgan State University. Thank you. And then I'm also a Fear This Fan ambassador. My question to you, because I'm hearing a lot of, I'm from Baltimore, I'm moving there, there's great opportunities. What do you have to say to those who don't believe that, or those who are scared of politics because of the administration that we're in, and ways to combat that? Because there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of creativity, and a lot of art in Baltimore that we want to also spread globally. So how would you connect with those who feel disconnected?
Yeah, I think that one, when it comes to the administration, right, and I know some people are scared, I just want to be very clear. You cannot hide from these people, right? They are coming for you, no matter what. They're coming for you. So for those who think that they could go along or get along, not going to happen, right? We had this discussion a lot during the election, and I said this time and time again. I'm pretty sure I said it on Uncle Roland's show multiple times, especially for black men. They might not start with us, but they're going to come back home. Right? That's the truth. So we have to be start there. But also, when you're in a time like this, we need to be together. We don't need to be spread out all over the place. We need to be in places where we can have that deep impact because we have the resources, because we have control of our local and our state governments, and we're in places that we also just happen to be in places that have good federal judges and people that will protect the Constitution. We know this is a very scary time, but when you think about where our city was, right, and this is what I tell everybody every day, yes, we are light years away and light years improved from what we were 5 years ago, let alone in 1993 when I was 9 years old, right, the worst year in violence ever in the city. But we still have a long way to go. But if we're going to get there in the way that we want to, it has to be done with our people, right? And we're going to always meet people where they are. We're not going to always agree. I don't like anybody that always agrees with me, right? Iron sharpens iron. So I want to be pushed and challenged. But I think what people have to know that in this moment, we have to also be having family conversations in family ways. This is not the time for us to be focused on our little petty differences or petty issues. We have to put them aside right now and focus on how can we build for us as a collective.
Okay, we have one last question.
I got like 3
We
minutes
got
left.
no more time left.
I'm looking at the time right here.
It's wrong.
They gonna use me to make up the time.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor Scott. I am Gloria Olavu. I am a junior at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I'm also a Fearless Ambassador. So my question for you is, you've secured investments from major companies, you've tackled decade-old problems like vacant housing. What do you think is, or what do you know is the one singular obstacle preventing us from making Baltimore the economic hub that it can be, and what do you plan on doing?
So the truth is, there is no one thing. When you think about Baltimore and the historical conditions, right? You have to think about it as this melting pot pasta of bad things, right? When you think about, again, it being the birthplace of redlining, the first redlining law in Baltimore. When you think about the industrialization, when things like Bethlehem Steel and General Motors, where my granddad worked, went away. When you think about them, we have the poster child for these highways that they destroyed in middle-class black neighborhood in West Baltimore, destroying thousands of homes and businesses, displacing all of these people, and never even built the highway, right? You think of all of that, and then you add in, mysteriously, and we all know how it happened, drugs and guns just start showing up in communities. You have this recipe for what we are now still dealing with. There isn't one thing, but we have to be intentional. The same way they were doing these things through policy, we have to intentionally go and undo that. We're actually having that discussion right now in the Baltimore City Council, because some of our housing and zoning code law in the year of our Lord 2025 in Baltimore City still is based in that racial redlining law. And we have to undo that. But that's not as easy as folks would think, because now in many cases we have evolved to where it's people like us who feel like they need to have those regulations in, because we have issues sometimes that we have to reconcile between our own family. We have to continuously do that, and we have to make sure that the representatives that are in government are doing what's the best for Baltimoreans, not the best for themselves or for a small group of people, right? We have to think about, basically, before I was elected in 2020, there would normally be a room full of old white men that would decide who the mayor of Baltimore is, right? And they would tremendously put that thumb on the scale all the time to make sure that things were going their way. I just happened to break that mold, but they're not going to go easy into the night, right? They come back, they change rules, right? We never had term limits for mayors in Baltimore until I won the election twice, right? Like, we have to understand that they are playing the long game, and we have to play the long game too. And we have to make sure that we're putting people and policy in place, right? It's not good enough for me to be equitable with the city budget, for us to be focused in neighborhoods that we've never focused in, for us to have a comprehensive approach to dealing with gun violence. And then when I'm gone, right, because I'm not going to do this forever, then it just goes away. That's why we passed a law that said equity is the law of the land. That's why we have a law that says you have to have a comprehensive violence prevention plan. But we also have to deal with the housing, with the zoning, how the city itself is made up, with the infrastructure investments. That's why we've invested in schools and rec centers. And we built and renovated more new schools than any urban school district in the country over the last decade, because we are not going to solve, and this will be my last point before I take my seat. We are not going to eliminate hundreds of years of purposeful disinvestment, of racist policies and practices in anybody's one elected term in office. We've heard that time and time again. I am not going to be the mayor when the vacancy crisis ends in Baltimore, but someone had to be the foundational brick. That person who is building that foundation is just as important as the person who is putting the topper on the building. Because if the foundation itself is weak, then the building itself will crumble. Thank you, everybody.
Give another round of applause to the mayor. Woo! Thank you. All right, guys. So we